Because it's the best way for an old man to compete in a young man's world.
Hey, terrific. Hang in there, Cuddy.
Mickey.
Mickey?
Get him ready.
Hi, Mickey.
Hi.
From Golden Age studios to modern sets, some actors showed up so drunk or high they couldn't remember their lines. Directors had to work around them. Studios had to cover for them. Some performances made it to screen anyway. This is 12 actors who were too wasted to work. Number 12, Oliver Reed. The British Hellraiser made a career out of pub brawls and drinking contests, showing up to sets already 3 sheets to the wind. For decades, directors worked around his hangovers, his slurred words, his inability to hit marks after lunch. He challenged crew members to drinking matches, got banned from talk shows for showing up drunk, and somehow kept getting cast because when he was sober for the first hour of shooting, he was brilliant. Then came Gladiator in 1999. Reed was making his comeback, playing the grizzled gladiator trainer opposite Russell Crowe in Ridley Scott's Roman epic. On March 2, 1999, during a break from filming in Malta, he walked into a pub and challenged British sailors to a drinking match. He downed 8 pints of beer, 12 shots of rum, half a bottle of whiskey, then dropped dead of a heart attack at the bar. Scott had to CGI his face onto a body double for the remaining scenes. Reed died doing exactly what he loved, out-drinking everyone in the room.
I wasn't the best because I killed quickly.
Number 11, Errol Flynn. By the 1950s, the swashbuckling star of Robin Hood was a bloated shadow of his former self, running on vodka and morphine. The man who once did his own stunts could barely stand upright by noon. On The Sun Also Rises in 1957, director Henry King had to shoot around him for entire days while Flynn slept off binges in his trailer, emerging only when the shakes got bad enough that he needed another drink to steady his hands. His final film, Cuban Rebel Girls in 1959, is unwatchable. Flynn stumbles through scenes barely conscious, slurring lines about Castro's revolution while clearly having no idea where he is. The autopsy after his heart attack that same year showed a 50-year-old man with the organs of a 75-year-old. The coroner said his liver looked like it had been pickled. The lifestyle killed him years before his body finally gave out.
And I'll never rest until every Saxon in this shire can stand up, free men, and strike a blow for Richard and England.
Number 10, Judy Garland. Emmy started her on amphetamines at 16 to keep her working 18-hour days, then gave her barbiturates to sleep. By her 20s, Judy Garland was a pharmaceutical disaster, unable to function without pills and unable to stop taking them. On Summer Stock in 1950, her weight fluctuated so wildly between scenes that costumes had to be constantly altered. She'd disappear for days, show up unable to work, then have one brilliant take before collapsing again. The studio fired her from Annie Get Your Gun and, Royal Wedding for being too unreliable. By I Could Go On Singing in 1963, she was barely holding it together, 50 pounds overweight and needing constant supervision between takes. She died in a London bathroom in 1969 at age 47, the same pills that made her a star finally finishing what they started. MGM built her into an icon, then destroyed her to keep the machine running.
I sing for myself. I sing when I want to, whenever I want to, just for me. I sing for my own pleasure.
Number 9, Richard Burton. The Welsh actor with the golden voice was drinking a bottle of vodka before breakfast by the 1970s. Elizabeth Taylor begged him to stop, threatened to leave, actually left, came back, and watched him keep drinking anyway. Directors learned to shoot his scenes early in the day before the shakes started, before his eyes glazed over, before that magnificent voice began to slur into incomprehensibility. Exorcist II, The Heretic in 1977 captured Burton at his worst. Visibly drunk in scenes, unable to deliver dialogue without multiple takes, stumbling through what became one of the biggest bombs in Hollywood history. Co-star Louise Fletcher watched him show up hungover, drink through lunch, and barely make it through afternoon scenes. He died in 1984 at 58 from a cerebral hemorrhage. 5 marriages, 2 Oscars nominations, and a liver that finally quit. The drinking caught him.
We were young. Today, wherever I look, I see only evil.
Number 8, Peter O'Toole. Lawrence of Arabia made him a star in 1962, and he celebrated by drinking himself through the next 3 decades. O'Toole admitted to consuming 15 pints of beer daily at his peak, starting at lunch and continuing until he passed out. Studios built his drinking into production schedules, knowing that after 2 p.m. his takes became unusable, that certain scenes needed to be scheduled for morning when he was merely hungover instead of actively drunk. By high spirits in 1988, the crew nicknamed him Peter O'Toole because he spent so much time vomiting between takes. Director Neil Jordan watched a once great actor stumble through a bad horror comedy, barely able to remember which scene they were shooting. O'Toole somehow survived to 81, finally getting sober in his 50s, but he admitted he lost years of his life to blackouts. The memories were gone, pickled away with everything else.
You really think death frightens me now?
Number 7. John Barrymore. The greatest profile in Hollywood belonged to John Barrymore, and he drank it into ruin. By the late 1930s, the legendary stage actor couldn't memorize a single line. On The Great Profile in 1940, a film literally titled after his famous face, he needed idiot boards for every scene, reading his dialogue off camera while trying to pretend he remembered it. Co-stars watched the destruction in real time. This brilliant Shakespearean actor reduced to a stumbling drunk who needed handlers to get him to set. His final films are painful to watch. The pauses where he searches for lines, the glassy eyes, the obvious confusion about where he is and what he's doing. He died broke in 1942 at age 60, having pissed away the Barrymore family legacy one bottle at a time. His brother Lionel and his daughter Diana both struggled with the same demons, but John got there first. The Family Curse, filmed for posterity. Before we get to the top 6, which one surprised you most? Ever seen one of these performances and noticed something was off? Let us know in the comments below. Also, tell me where you're watching from. We've got viewers from Hollywood to Hong Kong watching this unfold.
I have another engagement, of course, but I might be able to break it.
Number 6. Robert Downey Jr. The only cautionary tale on this list with a happy ending, but it came close to being a tragedy. By the late 1990s, Robert Downey Jr. was unemployable, uninsurable, and completely out of control. He got arrested on set, nodded off during takes, disappeared for days into drug binges. Ally McBeal fired him mid-season in 2001 after he violated probation again. Studios wouldn't touch him. His talent was obvious, his addiction was stronger, and Hollywood wrote him off as another gifted actor who'd die young and broke. Then Mel Gibson paid his insurance bond for The Singing Detective in 2003, followed by Shane Black taking a massive risk on Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in 2005. Jon Favreau fought to cast him as Tony Stark in 2008 when the studio wanted anyone else. Downey got sober, stayed sober, and became the biggest star in the world. 4 kids, 15 years clean, and $300 million in the bank from the Marvel films. The only person on this list who actually beat it and came back bigger than before. Number 5. Dennis Hopper. Easy Rider in 1969 made him a countercultural icon and fueled a decade-long binge that nearly killed him. Hopper dove into cocaine, alcohol, and LSD with the same intensity he brought to his performances, unable to separate the artist from the addict. Francis Ford Coppola cast him in Apocalypse Now in 1976, knowing he was out of his mind, using his real insanity to fuel the character's madness. Coppola later said both Hopper and Martin Sheen were genuinely unstable during production. The last movie, in 1971, was supposed to be his directorial masterpiece, filmed in Peru while completely wasted on everything he could find. The result was an unwatchable mess that ended his directing career and nearly destroyed his acting one. He spent the late 70s broke and blacklisted, burning through money and brain cells until he got sober in 1983. Blue Velvet in 1986 gave him a comeback, but those lost years cost him a decade of his prime. He died in 2010 at 74, having survived what should have killed him.
You're gonna help him. I mean, what are they gonna say, man, when he's gone, huh? Because he died.
Number 4. William Holden. The golden boy who had everything and drank it all away. By the 1970s, William Holden was a functional alcoholic who started drinking at breakfast and continued until he passed out. Network in 1976 should have been his triumphant comeback. He won Best Actor and looked great on screen, but director Sidney Lumet watched him shake through morning scenes, steady himself with vodka at lunch, and barely hold it together through afternoon takes. His last film, S.O.B. in 1981, had Blake Edwards' crew watching him deteriorate in real time. On November 12, 1981, Holden tripped while drunk in his Santa Monica apartment, hit his head on a bedside table, and bled to death alone over 4 days before his body was found. He was 63, surrounded by empty bottles, having pushed away everyone who cared. The apartment manager smelled the decomposition before anyone thought to check on him.
Be my best friend. I'll go to court. I'll put him in a hospital before I'll let you exploit him like a carnival freak.
Number 3. Richard Harris. The Irish Hellraiser claimed he drank 3 bottles of vodka daily at his peak, treating his body like an experiment in human endurance. Harris showed up to sets drunk, stayed drunk through filming, and somehow delivered brilliant performances between blackouts. On A Man Called Horse in 1970, he insisted on doing his own stunts while intoxicated, resulting in injuries that plagued him for years. Orca in 1977 captured him at rock bottom. So drunk during production, they had to use stunt doubles for dialogue scenes, something almost unheard of in filmmaking. He got blacklisted for years, burning every bridge in Hollywood with his behavior. The Harry Potter films only happened because he'd been sober for over a decade, proving he could still work. He died of Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2002 at 72, having wasted his prime years pickled in vodka. He got clean too late to matter.
It's true, Harry. You possess many of the qualities that Voldemort himself prizes. Determination, resourcefulness.
Number 2, Peter Sellers. Behind the comedic genius was a man dissolving into drugs and mental illness, unable to separate himself from his characters because he claimed to have no personality of his own. By the 1970s, Sellers was mixing cocaine, amyl nitrite, and prescription pills while shooting the Pink Panther sequels. Blake Edwards watched his star spiral into paranoia, showing up unable to work, convinced the crew was conspiring against him. On Being There in 1979, director Hal Ashby had to work around Sellers' drug use and his recovery from a near-fatal heart attack in 1964 that left him technically dead for 90 seconds. Sellers believed that experience erased whoever he'd been before, leaving only an empty shell playing roles. He died of another heart attack in 1980 at 54, having survived the first one by 16 years of self-destruction. The empty man finally stopped performing.
You are an idiot. Only a fresh-faced novice would come up with a conclusion like that.
Number 1, John Huston. The legendary director who drank his way through 50 years of filmmaking and somehow outlived everyone he partied with. Huston believed alcohol fueled creativity, that great art required great excess, and he spent decades proving that theory while destroying everyone around him. On The African Queen in 1951, he and Humphrey Bogart drank whiskey in the actual jungle while Katharine Hepburn watched in horror, convinced they'd die from disease or stupidity. The Misfits in 1961 was a disaster. Huston drinking with Clark Gable and Montgomery Clift while Marilyn Monroe spiraled into the pill addiction that would kill her a year later. By his final films in the 1980s, he directed with an oxygen tank beside his chair, a cigarette in one hand and a drink in the other, emphysema and liver disease fighting to see which would kill him first. He died in 1987 at 81, having outlasted Gable, Monroe, Bogart, and nearly every actor he'd pushed to their limits. Talent can survive almost anything. Turns out genius is the best life insurance.
He pulled away from it because he didn't want to trust his career to a young director.